From abusing women behind closed doors,
and stalked me, found me, and assaulted me.
to selling drugs while preaching security.
Make the argument that anyone you've ever met should and could carry this device.
These are the Shark Tank stars who got arrested. Let's start with the most disturbing one of all, Nathaniel Holtzapfel, a smooth-talking belt salesman who strolled in bragging about millions with his belt business.
Sharks, with your help, I believe I could put one of these belts around the waist of everyone in America. Let's make a deal.
But strolled out straight into abuse charges.
You guys go home every night, you have a home-cooked meal, and I'm sure there's a lot of trauma and terror or whatever, but I'll tell you what, you have no idea what it's like being in prison.
Nate called himself a one-man sales force and quickly talked his way into a $50,000 deal with Damon.
Would you settle for 30%?
I will absolutely settle for 37.5.
Damon, I'd be crazy to not want a partner like you. I accept 100%.
My man.
But who knew underneath the hustler facade was a snake ready to bite? John was wowed by Nate's sales game and paired him with Al Bubba Baker to set up the father and daughter's e-commerce business.
It started out with Damon John bringing in someone who he referred to as an internet genius. His name is Nate Holtzapfel.
Now that's exactly when Nate's true colors started creeping out. He had his hands all over their bank account, brushing off every ask for the numbers.
But once we were able to finally have Nate removed from our business, he wiped out our business bank account. There was about $100,000 in there at the time.
So basically, yeah, he cleaned out their earnings. But where was all that cash ending up? Oh, just into keeping his own business nice and shiny, flourishing even. Once he'd had his fill of raiding businesses, he moved on to preying on vulnerable women.
She's a breast cancer survivor, and she had a disabled son that she totally cared for.
Court documents reveal Holtzapfel pressured the woman into signing over her home and then selling it.
Turns out Holtzapfel sweet-talked 46-year-old Courtney Morto, a single mom with a disabled son, into handing over her house. He then flipped it, all while laying on the charm and still married to someone else.
An individual who plays upon the emotions of another for the express purpose, allegedly, of taking advantage of them financially, that's a crime.
And soon after, the savvy finance man talked Courtney into selling her car to invest in his business. And that's when the worst happened. Nate disappeared, only to resurface stalking another 45-year-old woman named Sammy. This time, he didn't just fleece her, he went after her in the worst possible way.
This man investigated and found my phone number and stalked me, found me, and assaulted me.
After that, he moved on to his next target, talking her into sinking $50,000 of her late husband's insurance, selling her cars and rifle, and pocketing it all for himself. Because what's smoother than a guy who can talk your belt off? Want to know what he has to say about his ventures?
Those are some of the worst stories I've ever heard in my life, and while I don't agree with all the details of them, I definitely can respect people's feelings, and I can respect their experiences, and the way two people can experience a movie. One person can love it, another person can hate it.
What is bro even talking about? And it looked like Trouble just loved to follow him around, because Holtzapfel had been slapped with 3 counts of communication fraud by the Utah County Attorney.
Really the only way that we can do our best to serve those residents of Utah County and, quite frankly, the state and maybe the nation, are to broadcast this and to let anyone who's affected by this.
But the money man managed to wiggle his way out of it, this time by posting a $20,000 bail.
It was a cash bail. He posted bail within 90 minutes. He was gone. There are no conditions other than show up to court because you paid your money.
But despite all his tricks and dodges, he finally hit the wall of justice. Some lessons you just have to learn the hard way. Next up is John A. DePola, whose rise to fame took a very different and a way darker turn. He, with his partners, stepped into the Shark Tank with a fix for the painting world's biggest headaches: where to rest a paint-covered brush during a break without making a mess.
Me and cousin Johnny Boy over here went to work in his lab, aka his garage, and developed what has become the most revolutionary prototype.
But who knew John would move from shelf fame to landing in a jail cell?
I find it hard to believe that this little plastic cover keeps the paintbrush for days.
Well, it holds almost 100% humidity inside of there. Picture Tupperware.
Nobody would have known just by looking at him. They claim to have revolutionized the painting world with just one piece of plastic, a bit of a brag, though the sharks seemed totally taken in by them. Now, did they actually manage to score a deal?
I'll give you $100,000 at 20%.
Lori, welcome to the family.
This is awesome.
Yep, they made it. Lori snapped up 20% of their company for $100,000. Soon their product would land in 14,000 stores, pulling in more than $1.5 million in mere months.
Before Shark Tank, we were just 3 guys working out of John's garage. Now we're a company. We have 18 employees. We have our own office, and we have a huge warehouse.
But fame's a tricky thing. It can lift you up one minute and knock you down the next. Now, you must be wondering, where did it all go wrong? How was John able to ruin his career along with his partners? Well, it all started in December 2017. During something called Operation Snowball, John got hauled in by New Jersey cops, not for tax fraud or pitching billboards, but for allegedly getting wrapped up in a cocaine distribution ring with the ringleader, Hugo Hernandez. Turns out the 9 weren't just hanging out, they were moving about 1/3 of a kilo of cocaine a week, which is about 330 grams. Enough to put a small town partying for a week. But when the cops got to them, they were able to take off 700 grams of cocaine and nearly $15,000 during the bust. Running a thriving business and still thinking he needed to branch out into drugs? Mind-blowing. But that little side hustle had backfired. John was now facing a conspiracy charge, and if convicted, he could spend 3 to 5 years in prison. From winning deals on national TV to being busted in a drug bust, just goes to show how one wrong step can send it all crashing down. Now, hold tight for the next one, because it is absolutely jaw-dropping. We have Joseph Parisi, who rolled into Shark Tank with an actual breathing llama. And not just that, he called it a safety device. Curious what that even means? Let's just hear it from the man himself.
Visit our website and purchase 1 guard llama for every person you love, including yourself. Your remotes will arrive in the mail with instructions to set up a physical profile. This information is given to the police during your time of need so they can identify you.
Sounds heroic, but is it enough for the sharks to take the bite?
I get that this is an easy sale. I like everything about your company except for the product. The product's horrible.
Yikes, that was brutal. But no surprise there. Mark is the most difficult shark to win over.
All right, let's do it.
Congrats,
Done?
Barbara.
Got it. Congrats.
All right, congrats,
Alrighty,
guys.
baby.
I'm a good salesman after all.
Take care. Thank you, guys.
And the deal was secured. Barbara generously threw $100,000 on the table for something that felt genuinely game-changing to her. And it didn't take long for the business to grab headlines. But trouble hit Guard Llama in 2018, when complaints began rolling in and the company ran into some legal hurdles. So Mark was right all along. Federal agents and Kane County Police showed up at his Illinois home, raided the place, and the former Shark Tank contestant ended up caught with more than $80,000 in drugs. Joe invented that gadget to help the police and somehow ended up getting caught himself. Now, that's ironic. Turns out his one button to safety ended up being a one-way ticket to prison. Talk about helping the cops one minute and making headlines the next.
From a 12-year-old girl who walks to school every day to a 60-year-old man who does home foreclosures. They are in 2 totally separate demographics, yet equally need this product.
Think your device could have saved you, Joe? When the investigation began, it led to Joe facing multiple felony drug charges. Not just that, but trafficking and possession too, of drugs like E, coke, shrooms, marijuana. I mean, think of a drug and he had it. Joe was at the bottom of the hill and his world was crumbling. His business was failing and his partner had cut ties and moved on to a new venture. Harsh? Sure, but honestly, it was kinda deserved given the circumstances. He was imprisoned, booked, and held on $80,000 bail. From calling the cops with one button to having them at his door with a warrant, Joe fell hard.